from KMOX Sports.
Okay, boys, here we go.
Welcome to the Graybar Sports Open Line.
Goldschmidt swings, and he hits a drive. He hits a slammer.
Graybar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs.
Here we go.
Now, Matt Pauley on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
All right, man, let's get going here.
Here we go. Let's go. On a Friday evening, we welcome you in. It is time for a Graybar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX. My name's Matt Pauley. Have you till 8 o'clock this evening as we wrap up the week together. We've got a busy show tonight. In about 10 minutes, we'll talk with one of our favorite people, Earl Austin Jr. We'll preview the Billikens basketball season with him and also talk through his great honor that he received earlier this week. Missouri football, they've got the weekend off, but then they are going to go into a mad sprint to the finish, and it's an interesting time to look at the Tigers and kind of assess where they're at going into an off weekend. Eli Hoff from the Post-Dispatch and STL Today is going to join us. We'll talk a little Mizzou basketball with him as well. And then next hour, we've got Kevin Wheeler, our good friend. We'll talk through a bunch of baseball stuff with him, and we'll also hear from Patrick Mahomes next hour, his weekly conversation from 96.5 The Fan in Kansas City. We are going to hear from him coming up in the 7 o'clock hour as well. Let's start with the news of the day. And I wasn't in yesterday. Joe Pott was in. I got the experience of trick-or-treating with my daughter. I was Kyle Sixt is here. Kyle, I won't spend too much time on this. I grew up in a fairly religious household, and we really did not do much Halloween stuff. So I realized when I was like walking around a neighborhood last night with my 5-year-old daughter, outside of like going to just a few houses here or there, something, just real close. That was the first time in my entire life I had ever experienced like full-fledged trick-or-treating.
Really? Yeah.
Yes.
You go all out for it. It's no joke. You go and get as much candy as you possibly can. That's the way I did it.
My daughter did well. She
Nice.
did well. So I got to experience that last night. Maria alluded to this earlier. There's a thing out there, the trick-or-treating potato. And if you do like a Google search for it, you can find that there's like, I guess it almost started as like a social experiment. And now some people give kids the choice, potato or chocolate. And of the group of 6 or 7 kids that my daughter was trick-or-treating last night, of course, it was my daughter who chose the potato while all the other kids chose the candy.
That's awesome. She's better than I was as a kid. I'm taking the candy every single time.
She took the potato. My wife's actually going to cook it up for her tonight. So
Nice.
she's going to eat her trick-or-treating potato this evening. So that was kind of my story from last night. But with that, I wasn't here for the show yesterday. Joe Pott was in. Didn't get to go through the news of the day yesterday, which was not surprising or shocking by any stretch of the mind that the team did not pick up the options on Keenan Middleton, Lance Lynn, and Kyle Gibson. There'd been some reports out there leading into the decision yesterday that the Cardinals were at least considering picking up the option on Kyle Gibson. I never totally bought into those. I did not. And look, if you've been listening to this show, if you've been watching our roundtables that we've done on online all along, I've been talking about the Cardinals dropping payroll by moving on from Lynn and Gibson. To me, it was always just kind of a foregone conclusion that was going to happen, and it did officially happen yesterday. So that's Kyle Gibson did a nice job. Lance Lynn did a nice job. Like, neither of those guys were bad this past year, but at the same time, you have to be able to get that level of production from guys that you're not paying $11, $12, $13 million a year. And that's how much you were paying those guys. And I understood why the Cardinals did it. Like I wasn't upset at those signings last year. I thought the Cardinals offseason last year was fine. I would have liked at the time, I probably would have liked for them to maybe do something more in the bullpen last year. But I also say that we can now sit back and say the acquisition of Keenan Middleton paid out nothing because he never appeared due to injury. Maybe I would have liked them to bring in another outfield bat for in the offseason last year, but I didn't think it was like this overwhelming need. We can look back on it now and say, yeah, overwhelming need considering the offensive production that they did not get and the step back that they got from a Jordan Walker. But in the middle of the offseason, I was fine. I thought the Cardinals did enough last year to contend. And if their offense, if they would have scored more runs, if they would have done better with runners in scoring position, they would have been a playoff team. They didn't, and they weren't, and now we're in the reset. But I was never upset about Kyle Gibson or Lance Lynn being signed. I thought it made a lot of sense for where they were at last year. What makes more sense moving forward is for them to try to develop those type of players, where at the very least, the middle of your roster can be almost entirely filled with homegrown talent. And when it's homegrown, it costs less for a while, and that's where they have to go. And that's part of what they're trying to do with this player development reset. And then today, the news came down that they have claimed right-hand pitcher Roder Munoz off of waivers from the Miami Marlins. Look, his numbers aren't good. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. He made his major league debut this past year, 18 appearances, 17 starts, 2-7 record, had an ERA that was elevated. Even his numbers at AAA weren't especially good, had an ERA at about 5 or so. Here's the thing with him, and we'll talk more about this with Kevin Wheeler in the 7 o'clock hour. I'll be interested to get his thoughts on Munoz. But you take a flyer on him because he throws hard. And you hope that you can find a way to get him to throw strikes. And you hope that you can maybe look at him and create a pitch mix that other pitches can work off the fastball more effectively, especially if you're able to really take advantage of his velocity, whether that means he stays as a starter or maybe goes to the bullpen to try to create some more velocity that way, whatever you want to do. But it's an interesting pickup, 24 years old. He takes a 40-man roster spot, but certainly no guarantee of a major league job. And he seems like a guy who is likely to start the season in Memphis. Unless something happens, he takes a 40-man roster spot. 40-man roster right now at 36. There's a bunch of guys like Tink Hintz and Tekoa Roby who still need to be protected prior to the Rule 5 draft. We'll see how aggressive the Cardinals are in adding to the 40-man roster to protect players from being selected in the Rule 5 draft. There's no guarantee that it happens where you claim a guy in the offseason and then you need that 40-man roster spot and you move on from him and somebody else. There's guys who get claimed 2, 3, 4 times in an offseason. That certainly happens on occasion. So there's some upside on Munoz because of his ability to throw hard, but he has certainly not yet been able to put it all together. All right, we'll take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk with our friend Earl Austin Jr. We'll talk with him about the SLU basketball season, which begins on Monday, and also talk to him about his great honor from earlier in the week. That's all coming up. This is a Graybar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX.
Hey guys, Glover here from my friends at the Ophthalmology Associates. We are pleased to welcome Dr. Samuel Berry to the practice. Dr. Berry is a cornea surgeon with the latest knowledge and techniques for advanced eye care and treatment in the field. So what do we call him now? The doctors? No, just the best doctors to see for the best vision in St. Louis. Call 314-966-5000. We have treated more than 250 doctors, more than any other practice, which is why we're called the doctors, right? So I have been to see Dr. Birdie. My daughter Phoebe has been to see Dr. Birdie. We both love him. We thought the experience was fantastic. We have 3 locations with 3 great office staffs. The smiles are genuine. The concern is real. You will sit across from a doctor and have every single question you have answered, whether it's about a new prescription for your glasses or it's about LASIK surgery or cataract surgery. Just call 314-966-5000 or visit youridoc.com for Ophthalmology Associates.
There's breaking news all day long from around the world, and sometimes all that noise makes it hard to hear about what's happening right here at home. With the free Odyssey app, getting your local news plus breaking news is easy. And even when you're not near a radio, stay connected with what's going on right here by listening live and push alerts. Just download the free Odyssey app and search and follow your local news station, and you're good to go. The local breaking news to get you through your day at your fingertips on the free Odyssey app. That's AUDACY.
Feel like everything's clouded by doubt? Visit CaliforniaPsychics.com. Our psychics are available to talk 24/7, and we guarantee if it's not life-changing, it's free. Experience the joy of certainty. California Psychics.
I love this song. I love nachos.
Loving everything? You might be buzzed.
You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Woohoo! Another girls' night out.
I'm so stressed from shopping. I couldn't find anything.
Have you tried shopping jewelry television, JTV?
I don't know. Everyone in my family is so different.
JTV has thousands of jewelry styles, artisan, diamonds, pearls, colored gemstones, watches, even gift sets. I shop on TV and online.
New JTV customers save up to $40 when you shop jtv.com/radio.
Now, can you relax?
Yes. Another round?
Yes.
Kamala Harris and Joe Biden are ignoring kitchen table issues. Liberals are fighting to defund the police, indoctrinate kids, open the border, and put boys in girls' sports. I'm Ann Wagner. The people I talk to know better. Let's work for what matters most. Lower costs, parents' rights, and safer streets.
Ann Wagner is working for common sense solutions to the problems you face. She's challenged the big government machine in Washington and delivered a tax cut for middle-class families. Ann has stood with parents to defend their right to make decisions on the upbringing, education, and care of their children, protecting our kids from radical leftist indoctrination. And as crime rises, Ann has worked to protect our safety by fighting efforts to defund our brave police.
I'm Ann Wagner, and I approve this message. So pull up a chair, and together we'll turn the tables on Washington.
Fighting for your family. Ann Wagner for Congress. Paid for by Ann Wagner for Congress.
Broadcasting from the Underlying Three Lawyers. GetJim.com studios.
KMOX. Here's an energy efficiency tip from Quiver River Electric Cooperative. Thinking about purchasing new appliances? Consider both the purchase price and the cost to operate the appliance over its lifetime of 10 to 20 years. When shopping, look for the Energy Star label. These Energy Star qualified products exceed minimum standards for efficiency and quality. You can save about 15% of your normal energy use with these appliances. For more tips, visit quiver.com.
Bernie Nicholas joins the Chris and Amy Show, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 11:35 on the Voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
I cannot wait until Monday, because Monday right here on KMOX, we are going to hear St. Louis Billikens basketball. They are opening up the season in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. They've got a neutral site game against Santa Clara. And of course, right here on KMOX, you hear Billikens basketball with Bob Ramsey and Earl Austin Jr. And Earl joins us right now to help preview the season. Earl, really appreciate you taking some time with us. How are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
I'm good. First and foremost, congratulations to you, because you pick up an amazing honor earlier this week, named as an inductee into the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame. Completely well-deserved. Just another Hall of Fame for you to head into. You're in a few. What did you think? What's it like when you get that call and you find out that you are going into something like that? It's such a cool honor.
It really is. I'm just extremely honored and very blessed to get such recognition, and it's just something I've always loved to do. Talking, writing about sports for a living. That's an honor in itself, but to get that kind of honor bestowed upon you is it's just nothing but a blessing. I just lost the words, and that doesn't happen to me often.
And it's quite the class. You're going in with Anthony Bonner. I'm sure that has to be special for you. There's another KMOX connection because Jim Jackson, Cardinals broadcast engineer. We could go through the entire list, but it's a really cool group of people that are being inducted in the class of 2024.
It really is. AD, a former Billiken, all great, NBA for Sean High School. But like you say, Jimmy Jackson, who I sat next to on Billiken broadcast for 3 decades now. I think that's really cool to see Jim become a Hall of Famer. I was really excited when I saw his name on that list.
Yeah, we were too, just to see both those names, and not taking anything away from anybody else, but the two KMOX connections with you and Jim, really, really cool. So congratulations. And I think everybody here at KMOX is just so happy that you are on that list. Let's jump into what's going to happen on Monday. Have you ever been to that arena in Sioux Falls, South Dakota? They run events there all the time. I've heard cool things about it. Is this going to be a first trip for you, or have you been there before?
No, it's my first time. I believe it's my first time in South Dakota, as a matter of fact. So that's something off the checklist. I know they've had events in the past there, so I'm really looking forward to checking things out, and it should be a very exciting game as well.
Yeah, I've broadcast games at South Dakota and South Dakota State, but I've never gone into that arena in Sioux Falls. And again, I've heard cool things. It's the Field of 68 event that's going to take place, and they're going to match up against Santa Clara. So Santa Clara is a team that historically is pretty darn good. This is a really good test for the Billikens to open up the season.
It really is. It's a great opportunity for both programs to see if they can pick up a quality non-conference victory to start the season. Santa Clara won 20 games last year. Herb Senbeck has been a well-respected coach for many, many years around the country at different stops. And they're picked third or fourth, depending on what poll you look at, in a very good West Coast conference. Of course, it's led by St. Mary's with former Billiken assistant Randy Bennett and Gonzaga. They're kind of the bellwethers, but Santa Clara is good. They got good size. They got a 7-footer and they got a 6'10". Both guys are starters, can play. And they got a guy that's a pro prospect, Adama Alfabo, a 6'7" forward, who kind of flirted with going pro last year, but he came back. So it's going to be a good test, and looking forward to the challenge.
Team picked up 2 wins during the exhibition portion of the season, as they were expected to do, against Rockhurst and Maryville. No disrespect to those programs, but they are built in so for SLU to just get some work in. What did you take away, if anything, from those 2 exhibitions?
Well, the main thing is I believe we got Robbie Avila back healthy. Of course, during the preseason scrimmage, he injured his ankle and was out of action for several weeks, but he was able to come back for that last scrimmage, played 17 minutes, looked really good, got a good sweat going, and of course, everybody knows he's one of the best big men in the country. So just the fact that I think he's going to be full go going into the regular season, that's big. I think it's going to be interesting because we got a lot of different options. Obviously, you look at Robbie, you look at Gibson Jimerson as veterans, and Isaiah Swope. They're kind of the big 3. And then you got about 7, 8, maybe 8 guys who are quality players who are really going to battle. I think one revelation was Kobe Johnson, the 6'4" guard out of West Virginia, a senior, really shot the ball well in the 2 preseason games. Of course, he was brought on maybe to be a defender, a veteran hand on the backcourt, but he really shot the ball very well from 3-point range. And I think folks are going to be, the other 5th starter is going to be Kalu Anya, a 6'8" transfer from Brown, just plays with a lot of physicality and plays with a big motor around that basket. So I think it's a team that's going to be a lot of balance. We're going to shoot the ball from 3 quite a bit, and how we rebound and defend, that's going to tell a lot on how we do Monday and obviously throughout the rest of the season. Then there's a lot of other pretty good players to look at down the road.
Is it challenging that for Coach Church, just in the sense that he comes in, there's a handful of guys that stuck around from last year. He also brings in some players from Indiana State. So it's almost like kind of bringing in together 2 different groups plus the new players that you bring in. But that's a little bit of a unique situation, maybe not quite as unique now with the transfer portal, and players do follow coaches a little bit more often now than in the past. But historically speaking, you wouldn't have that where kind of 2 groups are being brought together to form one team.
Yeah, it's really it's unique, but then like you said, it's what we are, not what it is right now. It's unique because he brings Isaiah and he brings Robbie with him from Indiana State. Not only are they great players, but they're veterans and they know his system, so they're kind of almost like assistant coaches on the floor. And then it's like 3 different groups, as you said. Then you got the 3 holdovers: Gibson, Larry Hughes II, and Kellen Thames as well. And then everybody else, then you got a group of transfers or freshmen coming into the mix. So you're trying to, intertwine all of these entities into a smooth unit. So it's going to be a work in progress throughout the preseason, non-conference, and going into the conference season as well. And like I say, it's a challenge that a lot of different coaches have around the country because of the portal, but it's a unique challenge, obviously, here. And you got a lot of quality players. And if you want to get to a 7, 8, 9-man rotation, it's a challenge because you got a lot of different guys here who are capable of contributing on a nightly basis. which is a good thing.
Obviously still early going, and you only show so much during exhibition play, and we'll find out a lot more as non-conference season moves along. But what did you think from a chemistry standpoint? Did it seem like guys were working together well?
It did. It took, like I said, starting with the second half of the Rockhurst game. That's the game Robbie didn't play. It took a while. You could see guys get in tune with each other. The passing was well. Then the second game, you saw crisp ball movement, and they just did a nice job making the extra pass. You saw a lot of hockey assists, guys moving without the basketball. I think that's going to be a big core to the offense, the spacing, the movement, the ability to just move the basketball. And I think having Robbie back for that game, that made it a lot easier as well. So I think, like I said, that's going to be a challenge. Now you're facing a high-level team from a conference. That's going to be a good test to see where we are at this point of the season.
In no way, shape, or form do I ask this next question trying to take a shot at Coach Ford. Great, good man, good coach. He did some really good things at SLU, and we wish him best of luck moving forward. But my question is, what feels different, like from a culture standpoint, an environment standpoint, whatever it might be, what feels different moving from Coach Ford to Coach Schertz?
Well, every coach has its different styles of play and everything. I know Travis, when he was with St. Lucie, when we had our successful teams, we were built on toughness, rebounding, playing good defense, and I always said attack the rim, attack the paint, and we won a lot of games doing that. And it was a lot of fun doing that. While this was Coach Schertz, we got to play solid defense, but his style is more 3-point shooting. It's kind of more the analytics. You're shooting the three, you're driving to the layup and getting to the free throw line, or shooting the layup. Not many mid range shots in there. So that's kind of more what a lot of Nate Oates at Alabama has done. That got them to a Final Four. You see a lot of coaches subscribe to that. So you see a lot of the pace and space type of thing. It's almost kind of like watching with Rick Majerus when he was here at St. Louis University. So it's kind of different styles. Both great guys, great to work with, and we're very successful with what they've been able to do.
SLU opens up the season coming up Monday afternoon, 2:00, the tip-off from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, as they take on Santa Clara. Our coverage with Bob Ramsey and Missouri Sports Hall of Famer Earl Austin Jr. is set to begin at about 1:45. Earl, great to talk to you. I'm sure we'll check in during the course of the season. Thank you for the time. And again, congratulations on the Hall of Fame induction. Very, very cool.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate the time. Call anytime.
Awesome. That's Earl Austin Jr. joining us on the program. We appreciate him greatly. And, man, he is completely deserving of his honor going into the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame. We'll take a break, and when we return, we'll talk Mizzou football. They're not playing this weekend, but it's a big weekend for them to reset and see what they can accomplish. They've still got the opportunity to have a very special season, but some things have to go right. We'll talk with Eli Hoff from the Post-Dispatch and STL today. We'll do that next. It's a Graybar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
St. Louis is a baseball town. Others may talk Cardinals. We cover the team. Starting Monday, we take Cardinals coverage to an entirely new level. Every day at noon, we bring you real insiders. Tom Ackerman, Kevin Wheeler, Matt Pauley, and Bernie Nicholas break down the Cardinals with analysis and access no other station can match. The Gas House Gang on the KMOX YouTube channel at KMOX Sports on X, daily at noon. Miss us? Catch the replay on KMOX at 8. KMOX, your home for Cardinals baseball.
Is your home ready for the holidays? Beat the holiday rush and call our cleaning heroes at Zero Res. 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $129 and take $75 off air duct cleaning. Book online anytime at ZeroResSTL.com.
Attention Missouri Republicans. Donald Trump Jr. has endorsed Amendment 2. Don Jr. calls legalizing sports betting a no-brainer for Missouri. Right now, 38 states allow sports betting, including 7 of Missouri's neighboring states. Amendment 2 will give Missouri fans the freedom to bet too, and that means our money will stay at home instead of going to other states. Legalizing sports betting will generate more than $100 million for Missouri schools without raising property taxes. That's why our Republican candidate for governor, Mike Kehoe, is joining Donald Trump Jr. in supporting Amendment 2. Generating more money for Missouri schools without raising property taxes, giving Missouri fans the freedom to bet on games. Donald Trump Jr. has it right. Voting yes on Amendment 2 is a no-brainer for Missouri Republicans. Join Don Jr. in saying yes on 2. Paid for by Winning for Missouri Education, Mike Pridmore, Treasurer.
Happy holidays from all of us at the Audiology Center, where hearing is our passion.
Happy holidays to you, Dr. Colleen Bosler, and everyone at the Audiology Center. You have some important information for our listeners as we approach the end of the year and the holidays.
At the end of the year, all the new hearing aid companies come out with their models for the next year. And oh my gosh, Charlie, there have been major advancements in technology. Just in time for the holidays. With so many social gatherings around this time, you want to be able to hear and enjoy visiting with loved ones. You don't want to miss out this holiday season, so please call today and make an appointment so you can hear better tomorrow.
Dr. Colleen Bosler at the Audiology Center. Folks, the Audiology Center has 3 convenient locations: St. Peter's, Creve Coeur, and Florissant. Make a reservation today, 636-441-7470 or the audiologycenterstl.com.
Life is challenging and ever-changing. Take control with passive income through real estate investing. Learn how. Learn now. Let Dell Walmsley and Lifestyles Unlimited's investors and mentors show you. Meet Dell's team live in St. Louis. 2 days only at the Hilton Frontenac, Saturday and Sunday, November 9th and 10th. Register now at DellHelpMeNow.com. That's DellHelpMeNow.com. Enter promo code 2024 for a special discount offer. DellHelpMeNow.com. Code 2024.
Choosing the right candidates for any office can be difficult.
My office has lots of drama.
My office has its ups and downs.
I share my office. But no matter what kind of office you have, one thing's for certain. If you're hiring, you need ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter's powerful matching technology finds the most qualified candidates for your roles fast, and you can invite your top choices to apply. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. So, for any kind of office.
I'm really going places in my office.
My office has everything you could ever want.
Count on ZipRecruiter to find the right candidates for it. Try ZipRecruiter for free today at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Natural disasters happen every year. Fires, hurricanes, tornadoes. And with that, your most important moments recorded on VHS, camcorder tapes, and 8mm could all be gone in an instant. Cherished moments like your wedding, baby's first steps, family trips to Yellowstone, lost. Enter Legacy Box. Digitizing your old media with Legacy Box protects your irreplaceable memories from the threat of natural disaster by digitally preserving them onto thumb drive, DVD, or the cloud, so they're safe forever. Legacy Box is the safest and easiest way to preserve your past, which is why it's been trusted by over 1 million families. Send Legacy Box your home movies, photos, and film. Their team of trained professionals will do the rest right here in the U.S. For a limited time, Legacy Box is offering radio listeners an incredible 50% off. Go to legacybox.com/value and save 50% when you digitize your memories. That's legacybox.com/value.
Podcast The Bernie Miklasz Show today on the free Odyssey app and follow to receive Bernie's daily take on Cardinals, Blues, or whatever else is in the news. AUDACY.
It's Great Bar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX. It's also an off weekend for Missouri football. They sit with a record of 6-2, which sounds great, but you're not going to find a lot of people out there that are overly positive about the program because of their 2 losses and the one-sided nature, including the last time out when they fell at Alabama, 34-0. To talk through all things Tigers football, also talk a little Mizzou basketball with him. We welcome back onto the program our friend Eli Hoff. You read him in the Post-Dispatch, also at STL Today. He's on Twitter at @ByEliHoff. Eli, thanks for taking some time. How are you?
Of course, I'm doing well. I think better than a lot of Mizzou fans are. So that's a good thing in my book. How are you doing tonight?
I am good. It's good to be able to chat with you. And the Tigers are kind of at a reset point here with the off weekend, and then they go into a stretch where they'll play Oklahoma, South Carolina, Mississippi State, and Arkansas. They have a chance to put together a 10-2 season if they beat all those teams, and all those teams are very beatable. But at the same time, if they put together efforts like they had against Alabama and Texas A&M. That's probably not happening. There's a lot of questions about this team. How do you kind of evaluate this team right now? A good record of 6-2, but a kind of a negative feeling about them.
Yeah, it's really been tough to reconcile just the on paper talent of this team and what the expectations were and what the opportunity was, frankly, with the favorability of this schedule, within what this team has actually shown in some of these games where they've been tested and needed to come out and show something better than they have, frankly. And I think it's that kind of disconnect that has a lot of people frustrated, because just everything we were talking about in July and August, even before that, and just building up hype for this season, so little of that has actually materialized. So, it's a good time for a bye week, a chance to get Brady Cook, get him time to heal up on multiple fronts, frankly, which is kind of crazy, and let this team figure out what these next 4 games are going to look like, because the 4 games at the end of the year that I think a lot of people thought would be 4 wins, now there's an argument to be made that there might only be 1 or 2 in that section. So it's definitely a reset happening as far as just the atmosphere around this team.
Is it a failure that they have not been able to get better quarterback play when Cook has not been available?
I've gone back and forth with that, to be honest with you, because you look around college football and some of the best teams are the teams that do have a backup option they can turn to at times. Like you look at Texas A&M as the top of the SEC right now, and that's because they've had 2 different quarterbacks who can come in at different times. But at the same time, that feels sort of unfair to call a team a failure if they don't have a good backup quarterback. You look at who the backups are at schools like Georgia. Not a great option at backup. They'd be in a tough spot without a good backup option. Even a school like LSU, they have a transfer from Vanderbilt who wasn't the greatest. And the thing too, Drew Pine hasn't been good the last 2 games, but I think if you'd ask people in August, just based on his resume, is he a decent backup quarterback to have? A lot of people felt pretty comfortable there. And I think it's safe to say that Drew Pine is in general a better quarterback than he's shown, but he's shown what he's shown, and that's the body of evidence that's out there. So it's tough for me to call it a failure on anybody's part, but it's definitely been a shortcoming, and it's something that could prove really, really costly if Drew Pine has to play in these final 4 games in any capacity.
Yeah, that's my next question. Do you get any sense? I know they can kind of lock things down here on an off week and not a lot of information is going to get out, but do you get any sense on when, if the whatever the health situation is for Brady Cook and how that might impact the team moving forward?
Yeah, well, first, you're right to say it's been locked down. I'd asked Eli Drinkwitz on an SEC teleconference that coaches have with media this week. I'd asked him 2 questions. I asked him first, does he expect Brady Cook to be back this season? And he said, yes, he does. He wasn't going to specify when, but he said at some point this season. And then I also asked him just, is it the ankle or this hand or wrist injury that popped up against A&M or against Alabama, excuse me? Which is it that's the priority? And he didn't want to answer that either. He said some nonsense about it, Brady's soul needing to be mended. So that's the direction he's wanted to go. He doesn't want the information out there. Yeah. So it's a situation where I think there's right now a non-zero chance that Brady Cook is missing time coming out of this bye week. It's more likely he misses the Oklahoma game than the Arkansas game, right? Just in terms of the time it'll take, but we just don't know for certain. I think what's clear, though, is that during this bye week, Mizzou needs to be figuring out a way to be able to score points with Drew Pine on the field, because it seems like there's a strong chance they're going to need to be able to do that at some point in these last 4 games, and maybe to a significant degree. We just probably won't know.
Do you get the sense that, again, this is a hard question to ask on an off week, but do you get the sense that the negative talk about this team from people like us has infiltrated the team, whereas they are very aware now that going into the season with a top 10 ranking and all that, and college football playoff being talked about, that's really essentially off the table now. How do they go about making sure that the disappointment of what this season has turned into does not turn into more losses down the stretch?
I mean, that's the challenge, and that's where what this season has become in this bye week is something that is going to test this coaching staff on a lot of ways. One, like I just mentioned, getting the offense to work with a backup quarterback, but it tests the culture that Eli Drinkwitz has built, and this whole something to prove mindset, this wilderness brotherhood, all of that. It's easy to do all of that when you're getting results on the field, when you can say, those things I talked about, we're doing them on the field and it's working and we're winning. That's easy to get guys to buy in. It's a lot harder when it's not working, when the things they've bought into are leading to getting smacked around at A&M, coming back and getting smacked around at Alabama. That's tough when you see a guy like Brady Cook just getting hurt like this through no fault of his own and just, not being able to be out there. That tests any team. And then when the external atmosphere around the team, when that sours, these guys are all on social media. They're not immune to what is being said about this team, just like they weren't immune to all the excitement of the summer. It's the opposite side of the coin, but really the same core problem here. And it's going to be one heck of a test for what Eli Drinkwitz has built at Missouri.
We're talking with Eli Hoff from the Post-Dispatch and STL today. Let's jump over to Mizzou basketball. They opened up the season on Monday. A good test to get the season started. They play at Memphis. What an interesting kind of place for this program to be in. 2 years ago, Dennis Gates' first season, they're incredible. Last year, their record is terrible. They recruited off that first season somehow, some way. In today's era of college basketball, they're able to keep that recruiting class together coming into this year, even coming off a bad season last year. And now, for me, it's hard to assess what this team is even going to look like and how good they can be. What are you seeing here in the early going? They played one exhibition. They've been out on the practice floor.
Yeah, and even that exhibition, they doubled up Lincoln, who's a Division II team. I don't know how much you can realistically take away from a game like that. It's so tough to evaluate. 10 newcomers, 5 guys from the portal, 5 freshmen. You can look at every stat that's out there. You could watch every bit of film that's out there on these guys. But you don't know what it's going to look like until they're actually on the floor together. I talked to some of the coaches back in the spring, and they were saying that they feel good about this portal class, but they don't know until they get them in the gym and start trying things out. So that's what this non-conference schedule is built to be. It'll be a real test on the road against Memphis. That's a legit tough non-conference game that they're going to get a very early, very clear baseline, and then they're able to go kind of into the lab, to speak metaphorically, and have a lot of home non-conference games against small-scale opponents, a lot of bye games, and try things out, keep ramping it back up, and then start December with more big-time games, with Cal coming to town, Kansas, and then bragging rights versus Illinois, and test out what they've worked on. So I'm someone who I really like that approach from Dennis Gates as far as the scheduling this year. I think that's the right way to go about it. But it'll come down to how much talent there is that came in from the portal and what these freshmen can do and what the returners from last year can do. I think they all still have a pretty bitter taste in their mouths from that performance. So it should be a motivated group, that's for sure.
Last thing for you, and we could probably talk about this for over an hour and not get into all aspects of it. And I would encourage everybody to read your latest at stltoday.com and in the Post-Dispatch. Missouri announcing that they're fully going to be opting into revenue sharing. This is connected to the antitrust settlement in House versus the NCAA, a $2.8 billion settlement. And what this means is there's going to be millions of dollars that are going to be directly shared with athletes at Missouri. Now, the direct impact on fans is that ticket prices are going to be going up, but this is a big deal, and it impacts a lot of schools. Missouri is not alone, but this is a lot of money that's going to be coming out of the Missouri Athletic Department and headed to student athletes.
Yeah, well, you're right to say we could talk about this for hours. I spent about half an hour with Laird Beach, the athletic director, yesterday, and asking him questions about this, and we barely scratched the surface. Like you mentioned, I'd encourage people to go read the story we have out on it. We go into a lot of detail here, and it's a lot of good perspective from Laird. Kind of the basic gist is, revenue sharing is going to be to college sports what NIL and the transfer portal has been. It's going to be transformational, and it's going to cost athletic departments at least another $22 million a year. That's how much they can give to athletes. And so Mizzou's seeing this as a time when they need to increase the amount of revenue that's coming in. And Mizzou sits 13th out of the 16 teams in the SEC in terms of revenue generation. They want to be more around the average, be more around, spot 8 or spot 9 in the SEC, which means they need to bring in about $35 million a year more in revenue. As Laird explained it yesterday, in years past, Mizzou could say, well, let's fill the football stadium, and then that'll help us with revenue. They've been doing that, 12 straight sellouts. They're maxing out what they can get out of football revenue. So they see it as, all right, well, it's time to raise the prices. That's something that Laird was saying for for season tickets. They haven't done it in about a dozen years. He thinks it's long overdue. There will be some other more nuanced shifts in the fundraising model, but the bottom line here is they feel like they need to be getting more revenue from the ticket sales front, from fans. They realize what they're asking. They're committing to trimming expenses too, but college sports, it's getting more and more expensive to compete year in, year out, especially in a league like the SEC. Missouri is where it wants to be as far as being in that conference, but now to compete in it, that price tag's going up. But again, there are a lot of nuances to it. I think Laird Beach has been good in explaining his logic. All that's out there on STL today. He'll be communicating more as kind of the specific numbers come out, because it is a complex thing. Fans are going to feel an impact, but it's a big deal in the college sports universe.
Really, really big deal. And I think you did a great job putting it all together. Eli, we always appreciate your time. Enjoy a weekend without college football, but getting ready for college basketball, and enjoy these this next month and a half as you've got both going on. Thanks for your time.
For sure. It's a busy month, but a fun one. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Eli Hoff joining us from the Post-Dispatch and STL today. This is a Gray Bar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
Jewels on Hampton in St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks, sports memorabilia, and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa. Call them at 314-752-5000. Jewels on Hampton.
KMOX proudly supports the Musial Awards, returning to Stiefel Theater Saturday, November 23rd. You can be in the audience for this nationally televised event hosted right here in St. Louis. Named for Stan the Man, the show celebrates the year's greatest moments of sportsmanship and those who embody class and character. Experience the extraordinary moments and people that make the Musial Awards an event like no other. More information can be found at KMOX.com/events.
This is a rare opportunity from Lombardo Homes. For a limited time, we're offering an exclusive incentive. Get a free finished lower level rec room or up to $25,000 toward free design studio options when you build with us. Lombardo Homes never runs incentives like this, so the time to buy is now. Whether you're dreaming of a lower level rec room, customized kitchen, or upgraded primary bathroom, you'll never get a better deal than today. But hurry, this offer won't last long. Restrictions apply. Visit LombardoHomes.com or see your sales manager for details. Lombardo Homes, your vision, our mission.
Welcome to Willie's Wings, home of the secret sauce.
I'll take a dozen wings. Oh, by the way, I love that sauce. What's in it?
Can't tell you.
Why not?
It's a secret.
While many financial advisors claim to have the secret sauce, they don't. In fact, if their sauce is so good, why are they keeping it a secret? Steve All of the All Financial Group doesn't keep anything a secret. He knows there's much more to retirement planning than stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. He'll develop a strategy designed specifically for you. It's your own secret sauce for retirement. Call Steve today at 636-230-8824 for your personal portfolio x-ray. Call 636-230-8824 or online at yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Fine, you want to know what's in the sauce?
Absolutely.
Tablespoon of paprika.
Really?
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Steve All, NPN number 153-07419.
Space may be the final frontier, but it's also what a lot of us lack in our basement or garage. By switching to a Navien tankless water heater, not only will you have all the hot water you need whenever you need it, but you'll gain storage area as well. Maybe a place to display your space collectibles. Highly logical. Learn about Navien's series of high-efficiency tankless water heaters and how they don't just save space, but save dollars on your utility bills too. For more, go to tanklessmadesimple.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-837-5050. That's 800-837-5050. 800-837-5050.
Tune in to the Home Improvement Show, sponsored by Mosby Building Arts, Saturdays 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on KMOX for expert advice on remodeling, design, and construction. This live Q&A show begins at 11 a.m. or find podcasts at mosbybuildingarts.com.
Welcome back to the Graybar Sports Open Line. Once again, Matt Pauley on KMOX.
Just a couple minutes left here in hour number 1 of the program. Wanted to talk about the Blues for just a moment or so. They lose to the Flyers yesterday in Philadelphia 2-1 after beating the Maple Leafs 5-1 to open up that 4-game road trip. One-sided losses against the Canadiens and Senators before playing close last night against the Flyers. Blues coach Drew Bannister spoke with the media earlier today. Thought this was interesting. He obviously thought that his team played better yesterday. You lose 2-1 as opposed to 8-1 or 5-2. Yeah, they played better. And when talking today, talked a little bit about trying to get some momentum in these games, and that's seemingly not really happening.
I thought yesterday our guys stuck to the task, and momentum-wise, it was the game itself was kind of swung in our favor for most of the game, if not all of it. But it's the mistakes right now that are happening, they seem to be amplified right now, and you're kind of fighting an upward battle. But, for us, I liked our game yesterday. I thought our competitive level was much higher than it was in the previous 2. I thought defensively we did a real good job, and we make 2 mistakes and it ends up in the back of our net, and that's where we're at right now, and we have to be able to fight through that and make sure situations so they don't happen.
So do you stress that to the guys coming in today that was a good blueprint yesterday? It's just the result wasn't what we were hoping.
I don't know. I think there's things in the game that maybe go unrecognized that we can be better at, that can really make us push to the next level and be a better hockey team as a group. And I think those are things that we look to point out more. This morning at the end of the day, we lost a hockey game. We're not happy with the result. We had an opportunity to push that to overtime and probably get 2 points out of it. But we come back home with only 2 out of 8 points in the road.
I really appreciated Drew Bannister's second part of the answer there, second part of what he said there, because he spent a fair amount of time discussing the things that went well in yesterday's game. And not that you should run away from that just because you lost a game. There's nothing wrong with mentioning the good things that happened, especially when you were coming off back-to-back 5-2 and 8-1 losses. Clearly, the effort was better yesterday. But when asked to basically double down on that and say, well, then is the focus on, hey, this is the blueprint? No, of course it's not the blueprint. You lost the game. A loss should never be the blueprint of what you want to do moving forward. And credit to Drew Bannister for his answer in saying that at the end of the day, they still lost a hockey game. At the end of the day, there's still stuff they need to do better. I get a little concerned when it's this early on in the season and we're already doing the what went right in losses thing. That's something that I think you do in February when you're running out of gas. Not so much at this point, but I did appreciate Bannister's second part of the answer. They play Toronto at home tomorrow. This is a Graybar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
Did you know that Creve Core Camera is still around? Well, now they're the Photo Pros, and they have one store in St. Louis County. The Photo Pros provide you with the finest in photo finishing, home movie transfers, photo scans, photo restorations, cameras, and even photography classes. The Photo Pros' specialty is preserving your family history. So bring them your photos, your slides, and more to be saved for years to come, and nothing leaves St. Louis. Just Google the Photo Pro in St. Louis or call 314-567-3456.
Attention veterans and active military. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis is doubling their usual veterans discount on all products and services in November. That means veterans and active military get 10% off all month at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, 10% off all doors, openers, and any service or repair. Details on their website. Schedule your annual garage door tune-up before winter really sets in. Just call 314-781-5200 or schedule online at overheaddoorstlouis.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group. And I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney. And the truth is, I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney or if I look like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. At Wesley, we've helped over 40,000 families cancel their timeshare without me being an attorney. And I want to share with you how we do it. Just give my office a call and you will not talk to an attorney. And I guarantee if we take you as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call now for your free information kit. 800-714-9090. 800-714-9090. 800-714-9090.
You can tell a lot about a person by the company they keep. Matt Williams, he's backed by the same people who brought you Defund the Police, Amnesty, and health care for illegal immigrants. They're with radical liberal Matt Williams because he's with them. And nothing's too extreme for Matt Williams. Defund the police, open borders, taxpayer benefits for illegal immigrants. That's Missouri's future if liberal Matt Williams and his radical friends have their way. But there's a better way. Army combat engineer Adam Schnelting. Adam Schnelting has a proven record of common sense leadership. He led the fight to deport criminal illegal immigrants. He cut our taxes, and he stands with our men and women in uniform. Adam Schnelting shares our values, and he'll always have our back. The choice is clear. Adam Schnelting for State Senate. Paid for by the Missouri Senate Campaign Committee.
KMOX KECK HD2 St. Louis.
The legendary voice of St. Louis. This is KMOX, always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Jennifer Kuiper. In these final days before Election Day, the presidential candidates are in the Midwest. Vice President Kamala Harris in the Appleton, Wisconsin area repeats something that she has said about former President Donald Trump on the campaign trail.
He is someone who is increasingly unstable, obsessed with revenge, consumed with grievance, and the man is out for unchecked power.
Former President Trump tells supporters in Warren, Michigan.
Kamala's closing message to America is that she hates you. You know, there's got to be something there. I think she does. I do believe it.
Trump now heads to a rally in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin is sending additional aircraft and warships to the Middle East to bolster the U.S. presence in that region. CBS's Eleanor Watson at the Pentagon with details.
The Navy destroyers, B-52 bombers, fighter jets, and refueling aircraft are scheduled to arrive in the coming months, just as the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier and its destroyers prepare to go home. The Biden administration, since the war in Gaza began over a year ago, has beefed up U.S. military presence in the area to not only defend Israel and U.S. forces, but also to deter Iran and Iranian proxies from spreading the conflict even wider.
The U.S. Supreme Court has rejected a Republican bid to block the counting of provisional ballots cast by voters in the election battleground state of Pennsylvania. According to CBS's Catherine Cole,
Justice Alito, joined by Gorsuch and Thomas, said that this ruling was largely procedural and that he took no position on the election law issues, signaling that the Supreme Court doesn't want to wade into controversial election cases if it can stay out.
South Carolina has executed Richard Moore despite a broadly supported plea to cut his sentence to life in prison. Moore was convicted of shooting to death a store clerk in Spartanburg in 1999. More than 200 people in Spain have died from flash floods that swept through the region of Valencia, and the search for victims is ongoing. The BBC's Mark Lowen says that many locals are blaming authorities of being too slow to warn of the flood risk.
On Tuesday lunchtime, the regional president Mazon was giving a press conference in which he said that the intensity of the storm was forecast to decrease that evening. He insists that all the correct protocols were followed, but there is growing anger towards him. And even though this was clearly an extreme weather event that scientists believe was exacerbated by climate change, I think there will be big questions going forward as to just why Valencia was so ill prepared.
This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
At 7:03, we have a clear sky and a temperature of 53 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Brad Choate. Our top story: Missouri Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft says someone's making phone calls claiming to be from his office and telling voters their no-excuse absentee ballot will not count. Ashcroft posted on social media this afternoon there's no merit to that. He says the early vote ballots are in safe hands with local election authorities. The St. Louis City Police Department has a plan in place in case Tuesday's election causes civil unrest in the city. However, at this time, spokesperson Mitch McCoy says they do not have any threats on their radar.
Right now, at this moment, SLMPD does not have any known intelligence to suggest that civil unrest could occur in the city related to the elections.
McCoy adds if an incident does arise, they can deviate from their current plan to adapt to the needs of the situation. And just so you know, the FBI will have a command post in preparation for Election Day. This is staffed 24 hours a day to provide a centralized location for assessing election-related threats in the local area. FBI St. Louis encourages citizens to report allegations of election fraud and other election abuses. You can reach the FBI at tips.fbi.gov or 1-800-CALL-FBI. The mayor of Bellefontaine Neighbors is calling on the Board of Aldermen there to pass the budget in order to end a city employee walkout.
Mayor Reverend Dina Tatman made a surprise appearance at a press conference held by fellow North County city mayors she was initially not invited to. Mayor Tatman says it's her belief the board has refused to pass the budget because of personal issues they have with her.
Personal issues should not bring us to this point. And so I say to those 4 board members, tell me what you want. What else do you want from me?
Bellefontaine Neighbors city employees said they walked out on their own accord, not at the direction of the mayor, but are glad to have her support. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
Well, everything turned out nice for Halloween night last night. How about tonight's forecast, Dave Murray?
A classic first night of November across the St. Louis area. Clear skies, evening temperatures falling through the 50s, so it will get a little chilly. Kind of cold overnight, 43. On Saturday, lots of sunshine. A spectacular afternoon, 66. Saturday night, increasing clouds, but the evening is dry, 56. Sunday, periods of rain, a couple of non-severe thunderstorms, 72 on Sunday. That's the story Monday and into Tuesday. I'm meteorologist Dave Murray for the Voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
If you want to look ahead to Election Day on Tuesday, mostly cloudy and breezy with a couple of thunderstorms. We're calling for a high of 66. Right now, it's 55 in Florissant, 53 in St. Peters, 53 in Clear, downtown at the Arch. I'm Brad Choate, KMOX News.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports Open Line. Once again, Matt Pauley on KMOX.
We do continue on here on a Friday evening, taking you into your weekend. Still coming up this hour, Kevin Wheeler is going to join us in about 10 minutes or so. We'll get into the Cardinals' moves of the last 2 days. Our weekly conversation with Patrick Mahomes, courtesy of our sister station, 96.5 The Fan in Kansas City, and also a conversation with Rachel Zimmerman to preview tonight's Rachel Zimmerman show. That's all on the way this hour. Want to touch on a couple baseball things here in this first segment. First off, just this is going to be a weird offseason. I was actually thinking about this, and I like the direction the Cardinals are going, and I am appreciative of the fact that they are going to reset player development and trying to get themselves back to a point where they can more consistently be contending at a high level. That being said, what is a little bit of a bummer is seeing potential free agents and knowing, you know what, this is just the offseason. This is just the year where the Cardinals are not going to be involved in it. And a lot of the high-end guys, they probably weren't that involved with. Oh, Sonny Gray was a high-end guy, and they were involved with him. But just as I've seen news, it's kind of this empty feeling of, okay, the hot stove's going to look a little different, going to feel a little different this year with the way things are going on. But it could be an interesting offseason. Some of these teams that are already all in seem to be willing to go further all in. the Dodgers are going to spend more money. The Yankees are going to spend more money. I mean, the Mets, I think, have proven to themselves that they're ready to compete. So they're probably going to jump back in to the deep end of the financial side of things as well. And another name to add to that group is left-hander Blake Snell. He has exercised his right to opt out of his contract with the Giants to become a free agent for a second straight year. He had agreed in March to a $62 million 2-year contract. That included $17 million signing bonus on January 15th, 2026, $15 million salary for 2024, $30 million salary for 2025, 15 of which would have been deferred. And now he has decided to opt out of that contract, and he's going to try to get more years. Obviously, that's part of what Blake Snell is doing. While he opts out, one player with Cardinal connections who opts in, and I got to tell you, I love it. I love this so much. Jordan Montgomery has opted in not long after the chairman or the managing partner, the owner of the Diamondbacks went out and just trashed him and said that the problem, basically put the lack of success of the Diamondbacks this year, placed it squarely on the feet of Jordan Montgomery, which was just wild. And a lot of people thought that he was attempting to get Montgomery to opt out of his deal, which that's not how you do it. If you're an agent for Jordan Montgomery, and he's changed agents since last year, he's not a Boris guy anymore. The moment you hear those comments, you're opting in. The moment Ken Kendrick said that he made a horrible decision, that was the quote, horrible decision to pursue Montgomery. The moment he says that, Montgomery has to opt in. And now I'm sure the Diamondbacks will attempt to trade him, because that's something that's hard to come back from. $22.5 million. Nobody's going to take a $22.5 million contract off of the Diamondbacks' hands for Jordan Montgomery. So look, maybe he does come back and they just go through a very awkward sort of thing when they pass each other in the proverbial halls. But if not, this ends up costing the Diamondbacks money because they trade him. Does somebody pick up 11 of it, 15 of it? I don't know what the number is that you feel comfortable with on Jordan Montgomery, but it's certainly not $22.5 million. So after Kendrick made those comments about him, which he just should have never made, my hope at this point, this is kind of petty, on behalf of Jordan Montgomery, my hope is that they trade him. They trade him to a good team. That good team is unwilling to pick up much of his contract, so the Diamondbacks get to spend much of this next year paying him to play for another team, and I hope Montgomery does well. I would think he will do much better when he has a full spring training, unlike what happened this past year. All right, we'll take a break, and when we come back, our good friend Kevin Wheeler is going to join us. We'll talk through the Cardinals' moves the last couple days. That's next here on KMOX.
Who you choose to sell your St. Louis area home matters, especially in this ever-changing market. We all know a few realtors, but I only recommend one. This is Debbie Monterey, and for the past several years, I've gotten to know Gloria Liu, owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Gloria's different, guaranteeing to sell your home at your agreed-to price, or Gloria will buy it herself. When selling your home, you want the most money and the least hassle, and that's exactly what you get with Gloria Liu of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. For example, after 6 months, 2 separate agents failed to sell the Wheeler family's home. With no more time to waste, they decided to call Gloria Liu. Within a few days, Gloria was able to get them multiple offers and sold their home at nearly 99% of listing price because Gloria already had the buyers. The agent you choose to sell your home really matters. 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888, or online at gloriahasthebuyers.com. Conditions apply. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
Weather can be unpredictable nowadays, but your local news station on the free Odyssey app has got you covered. Whether you need an umbrella, windbreaker, or an extra layer, or 2, we'll let you know. Download the free Odyssey app and search for your local news station to listen on your smartphone, or ask your smart speaker to play it before you head out the door. Download the free Odyssey app and search for your local news station. That's AUDACY.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
You entrusted a nursing home with the care of a loved one, but they violated that trust. If your family member has been the victim of nursing home neglect, call Onder Law at 844-BED-SORE.
Kamala Harris and Joe Biden are ignoring kitchen table issues. Liberals are fighting to defund the police, indoctrinate kids, open the border, and put boys in girls' sports. I'm Ann Wagner. The people I talk to know better. Let's work for what matters most. Lower costs, parents' rights, and safer streets.
Ann Wagner is working for common sense solutions to the problems you face. She's challenged the big government machine in Washington and delivered a tax cut for middle-class families. Ann has stood with parents to defend their right to make decisions on the upbringing, education, and care of their children, protecting our kids from radical leftist indoctrination. And as crime rises, Ann has worked to protect our safety by fighting efforts to defund our brave police.
I'm Ann Wagner, and I approve this message. So pull up a chair, and together we'll turn the tables on Washington.
Fighting for your family. Ann Wagner for Congress. Paid for by Ann Wagner for Congress.
A happy place comes in many colors. One that leaves you feeling refreshed. Something that gets you all fired up. Or gives you the space to chill. Whatever your color, bring happiness home with CertaPro Painters and make your happy place your home. CertaPro Painters, that's painting happy. Get started today at CertaPro.com. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Stay connected with the heartbeat of St. Louis. KMOX News, bringing you the stories that matter most. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
It's Graybar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX as we continue on with our Friday show. Matt Pauley with you and joined right now by the former host of this program, now part of the Dave Glover Show.
Former host.
No.
You're the man.
And also now part of the gang at the Gas House game, literally, which is starting on Monday. We are in the most non-serious way possible. We are indeed gang members. It is our good friend Kevin Wheeler. Hey, Wheels.
What's going on, buddy?
Not much. So let's start with this. Starting on Monday, we're going to be doing kind of what we've been doing on Mondays recently, but we're putting a name to it and we're putting more days to it.
And we're doing it every day. Yeah.
It's going to be myself, you, Bernie Miklasz, Tom Ackerman. It's the Gas House Gang on all of our social media channels, live at noon as a video show, and then audio-wise available later on all podcast platforms, and then it'll air 8 o'clock at night here on KMOX, assuming that we don't have any games that evening. Monday will be all four of us. Tuesday through Friday will be some combination generally of two of us. And it's going to be a lot of fun.
For the big news, we'll get all four of us together for those things too, right?
Yes, yeah.
Like if there's a big trade, I'm sure that we'll all assemble like the Avengers and come together to offer thoughts and takes.
We did that on that Tuesday, and it was great. It was fantastic. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And again, I'm not to pat ourselves on the back, but to pat ourselves on the back. I think when you take the institutional knowledge and just the knowledge of the game of baseball of the four of us and the different places we have all been, it creates an environment for a very interesting baseball conversation.
Yeah, the way I'm putting it is this. We have so many great baseball people in this town. I don't want to claim that, like, we're the Mount Rushmore. That's not,
Right.
There's no such thing. There's too many good baseball people in St. Louis for that to be the case. But what I will say, and this is where I will pat us all four on the back, not just me. I don't think you'll find anywhere where you're going to have four at one time in one place that can bring more baseball knowledge to the table at that moment, right? Like again, I mean, there are a lot of great people out there. With Derek Gould's one of our favorites. He's not a part of the Gas House Gang unless we can arrange something later on, player to be named later. But like, he's amazing. That's not my point, is that we're not better than that. We're not better than Randy Carricker, who's one of the best baseball guys in town. It's just that you're not going to find 4 people in one place at one time, all at once, every single week, which will be Mondays for all 4 of us, compared to this. So you want the real deal. That's what you're going to get, the real deal.
Every day, 12 noon, and hopefully people can, and if you're watching live, there is the ability to comment on what we're talking about.
Yep.
So
you can ask questions, whatever.
It's not overly interactive, but we do have the interactive ability.
Yeah, and maybe as we go, because we'll see, because we're still kind of putting it all together. Sure. It may end up being that we do more of that. It may be as simple as, hey, send us questions via Twitter. Send them at Matt Pauley. Well, I forget what the end of yours is, because it just comes up on air.
Yeah.
And mine's just my name and a number. But I mean,
yours is not, why do you have 90?
94 is the year I graduated college. Okay. And when I set up an account, I had to come up with something because my damn name was taken.
I didn't think that Twitter was going to be a thing when it started, and I got that one wrong.
It's definitely, and you know what? Here's the thing. It's been several different things. Now it's a whole different thing, but it's still useful to me as a tool for work.
I once had an interaction.
It's a little less fun than it used to be, but it's still useful.
I had an interaction with the person once who has the at Matt Pauley Twitter. I was trying to get it from him. He wasn't going to give it up. He's a guy in West Virginia.
Okay.
There's a lot of, when I lived in, this has not happened since I lived in Colorado. So I went Colorado, Wisconsin, and then here. When I lived in Colorado, I can't tell you how often people would hear my last name and go, "Are you related to the Pauleys in West Virginia?" It's like, no, that never happens here.
Really?
But in Colorado, at least
maybe
once
there's some connection there.
Yeah, I don't know. At least once a month, people would ask me, "Oh, are you part of the Pauley clan from West Virginia?"
Oh,
nope.
I don't know.
No, I'm not.
I get those every once in a while, but I get asked about them. Like, there's been a few different Wheelers that are broadcasters, Chris Wheeler and others that have done it. And I always get asked, I'm like, nope, none of them. I do wish that I was, related to Zach Wheeler, because then I could hit him up for some money.
Yeah. That'd be
He's
good.
done pretty well for himself.
I'm not related to Jane Pauley either.
No?
No.
What about Pauly Shore?
No.
But wait, that's not how that works.
I had it spelled different. He's Pauly, no E. I saw him once, though, at the Funny Bone at Westport years and years ago, and he sold T-shirts that said Pollywood. Of course, I had to buy one.
You got to get one of those.
Yeah, so I had I don't know where it is now, but I had a Pollywood shirt.
Yep.
All right, so the Cardinals make a move today as they have claimed off of waivers Robert Munoz. He comes over from the Marlins. I mean, the tons of fastball velocity, not a whole lot of command, has had very little success in the big leagues. Even his AAA numbers this past year weren't great.
His minor league numbers total are not good.
Yeah.
Like, he's a 5.01 ERA in the minor leagues. He was in the 6s in the major leagues last year in 17 starts, 18 appearances. And I think by a lot of measures was one of the worst pitchers in baseball last year. But I want to be clear about this. But he's always worked as a starter, including in the minor leagues. I think the only relief appearances he had was his first professional year. There's like 10 relief appearances. I think he's been almost entirely a starter throughout that time. Here's what he has. He throws 95. His average fastball last year was in the top third of Major League Baseball. So he's got a good fastball. Average 95 as a starter. You probably knock that up 97, 98 if he's working one inning at a time as a reliever. But he's got significant command problems, and he hasn't really honed in on an off-speed pitch that he can lock in and throw for strikes. He's got several. He throws a slider, he throws a cutter, he throws a change. None of them had any success last year, right? Like, none of them were any good. But what I would envision here is, number one, it's mostly just a depth move for Memphis, okay? This is a 24-year-old guy with physical ability. And it's probably a Memphis move. It's to have some bodies at Memphis, maybe a guy that you can bring up if you needed somebody for something. But I think it'd be an interesting project. Like, I personally, if I were running the team, would call Rodri and his agent today and say, listen, buddy, welcome to the Cardinals. You're now a reliever. We are going to see how you work in 1 and 2 inning stints. We're going to see if we can't simplify your repertoire a little bit, improve fastball command, maybe throw it a little harder because you only have to throw an inning at a time. And then, we'll figure out, hopefully using some form of a pitching lab, which pitch works best with your fastball. I would love to see this guy, because I think the comp, I referenced this on Twitter earlier. I'd be curious to see what you think, Matt. I think the comp is something similar to what you did with Jojo Romero.
Yeah.
So Romero with Philadelphia was a failed starter. He was a guy that threw hard, had a good arm, had problems with command, and didn't seem to be in the plans for the Phillies And they were going with veteran bullpen, right? They went out and got Gregory Soto, and they have Jose Alvarado. They had all kinds of guys. They had a veteran bullpen. And, they obviously were like, we can afford to part with this guy. But the Cardinals took him, transitioned him to a different role, took him out of a starting role, made him a reliever, and all of a sudden you got a weapon. I don't want to say that I think Munoz can be at that level, but it can be a similar concept. And this is what you should be doing when you're in the position the Cardinals are in now. Young physical talent that you might be able to tweak and mold a little bit to get a useful piece out of.
To take that comp, though, I then remind fans, and I know you said it's a Memphis move. Don't forget, Romero got here, but even the next year, he was competing for a job, and he didn't win a job.
That's right.
He was back in Memphis in
He spent most of that year in Memphis. Yeah.
It wasn't until 2024 that he became...
That he opened with the team.
Yeah. End of 2023, he established himself. 2024, he established himself as a 162-game big league pitcher. So if that's the play... Well, then just remember what everybody appreciates JoJo Romero and looks back at that move now and says the Cardinals won that, but it took them a year and a half, 2 years for them to win it.
And that's not as big a problem now as it would have been in any of the recent off seasons, because in the recent off seasons, your goal was, what can we do to close the gap to win the division, make the playoffs, make a playoff run? This year, it's more of a, let's see what we can do. We need to cut back on payroll because of the TV thing. And I'm speaking as the team, not what you and I think. But their position is, of course, hey, listen, we're losing revenue, so we're going to be cutting back on this. And they are also desperately in need. Forget the money. They are desperately in need of resetting the way they do things, the way they think about the game, the way they develop players, the way that they can help a guy like Munoz or Romero adapt to a new role or make mechanical changes, or they need to reevaluate all of that and redo all that, and it just doesn't happen overnight. So this is kind of a, do you play video games?
No, not really.
So if you guys out there that are gamers, you'll understand this. There are times where sometimes your game freezes. I think the Cardinals have frozen, and what you do in that case is you turn the power off, you unplug it for 10 seconds, you plug it back in, and you reset.
Take the Nintendo cartridge out and you blow on it.
Yes, I think that's what the Cardinals need. They don't need to rebuild. They don't need to destroy everything, but they do need to go through that process of resetting things.
All right, so something that's not being talked about a lot that I do think is notable with this move and the moves that were made yesterday with Middleton, Lynn, and Gibson, and the Middleton move didn't actually impact the 40-man roster because he was on a 60-day, but the 40-man roster is now at 36.
Yeah.
This offseason, among others, Tink Hence, TK Roby, Trent Baker, Alex Cornwell, Andre Granillo, Matt Swanson, players who the Cardinals would need to put onto the 40-man roster to protect without them being eligible to be picked up by another team. So it's at 36 right now.
Is that after like Goldschmidt and all that too?
Yeah.
Okay.
The deadline to add Rule 5 eligible players to the 40-man roster, November 19th. That's not that far out. So there's some pressure on the Cardinals if they want to remove some players from the big league roster in order to protect more Rule 5 eligible players, whether that is Arenado, Michaelis, Matz, Contreras, Gray, whoever. Well, that November 19th deadline is there. I don't think many of those moves will be made before November 19th, but it is a date to remember.
Not the big ones, right? I mean, you're not going to be able to pull, I wouldn't think, like an Arenado deal or a Sonny Gray thing or anything like that by then. So you're probably looking more at the back end of the 40-man roster. And,
but if Michaelis and Matz are not in your plans at all, it would behoove you to not have them on the roster on November 19th.
Well, the problem, though, is I agree.
Yeah.
But the problem is I'm sure they're going to want at least some salary relief to move on from those guys. And I don't see that happening that fast because other teams are going to be like, well, we need to see what we can get in free agency, or we need to see if we can get somebody better than Miles Michaelis as opposed to doing it. But if you're looking up and down, there are guys like, I'm not saying any of these guys should go. I'm just saying there are guys, these are the guys you could go with. Ryan Ludos. There are guys like that can be removed from the 40-man that are not really going to, I mean, like, I don't know that Riley O'Brien is locked in given the injuries and the inconsistency, although you want to, that's the kind of guy you probably want to keep around because of the stuff. But, there are a few others. Jose Fermin could come off.
Yeah.
Players like, even if he got claimed, you have replacements for a guy like that. So they're not a ton, and it would mostly be pitching that you would need to consider moving people off that 40-man. But I think there's enough wiggle room there where you can keep the guys you need to of that group, because you're not exposing tin cans. That's a given.
Right.
And how many guys did you just list there that need protection?
This isn't everybody, but it's the notable ones.
The notable ones.
Hints for me is an easy yes.
Yep.
TK Roby is an easy yes.
I think so, because you traded for him and he's got stuff.
Yeah. After that, the other notable names on there: Trent Baker, Alex Cornwell, Andre Granillo, Matt Swanson.
Yeah. The one of those that appeals to me is probably Swanson.
Okay.
He had a really good year, and he's a big guy, throws a hard sinker. You could easily see him profiling as a big part of your pen, even this year. Not big part, but a part this year and a bigger part down the road. But even him, none of those guys are quote-unquote top prospects.
Right.
So you might take the risk because you can get similar guys in the Rule 5.
Yeah, there will be many guys just like that who are, and I would they were active in the Rule 5 last year. It obviously really worked out for them with Ryan Fernandez.
Right.
If you go find another Ryan Fernandez in the Rule 5 draft, you have done your job.
Yeah.
And I would believe that Chaim Bloom had a lot to do with Ryan Fernandez being
the Boston background. Yeah.
So let Chaim oversee that Rule 5 process.
And then keep in mind, by doing it that way, if you expose some of those guys that are comparable to other people that will be available in the Rule 5, by the Rule 5 draft at the end of the winter meetings, you may have moved some of those other guys and created a roster spot that at the moment doesn't necessarily exist.
Exactly. Last thing for you, I was not at all surprised by the three guys not having their options picked up. There seemed to be like the news cycle started to shift towards, hey, maybe the Cardinals are going to bring back Kyle Gibson. I never, ever bought that. I always thought that they were going to move on from him. Look, if he doesn't get an offer that he likes and they at some point say, you know what, it'd be nice to have a veteran guy in the rotation. Let's say they trade a Gray, they trade a Fetty, they move on from Michaelis and Gibson is still out there. Maybe there's a conversation to be had at some point, but to me, those moves were easy moves to make.
I agree. And again, just to make this point, there will be similar guys to Gibson in free agency that are not Kyle Gibson, right? He had a better year this year than he did the year before. And you don't need someone like the way that I look at this is to me, I agree with you, by the way. I never thought they were going to pick up the option because they're trying to save payroll money, right? Well, you might be able to save on Michaelis and you might be able to save on Matz, but you don't know that right now. So if you pick up Gibson, there's a chance you're stuck with all of them.
Right.
And you don't have room for all of them.
No.
Because you mentioned Sonny Gray and Eric Fetty, and then you got Steven Matz and Andre Palante and Michael McGreevy and Gordon Graceffa. Like, you got a lot of people you want to get a look at as rotation pieces. You can assess that later. So if you do trade Fetty or you do trade Sonny, you can now go back to Kyle Gibson or a similar guy and say, I mean, God, there's some other interesting guys out there for this kind of thing too. What about actually, John Means is a bad example because he just had his second Tommy John in June. So, but a player that's a free agent that's looking for a pillow deal, where, like as an example, would be what Detroit did with Jack Flaherty.
Right.
You can look for a guy like that on a 1-year deal at $14 million later on, and maybe find yourself a tradable piece or a guy you end up wanting to keep. But you don't have to do that now. And by doing it now, you're really tying yourself up.
The Pittsburgh Pirates are really good at signing those guys and then trading them at the deadline.
Yeah, except they didn't trade Aroldis Chapman.
No.
That was weird. But I mean, like that's the kind of free agent we're going to be thinking about.
Right.
If they're looking at free agents, it's going to be guys looking for bounce back years where you're going to get a 1-year deal and you can say, man, worst case, maybe this guy bounces back and we trade him. Or if it's a fit and it's good, maybe we try to negotiate something beyond that. And there are a few guys out there that have been good in the past that are either coming off bad years or coming off injuries that could fit that kind of pillow deal type structure.
There's going to be a lot more conversations like this starting on Monday with the Gas House Gang, 12 noon, Monday through Friday on all the KMOX Sports social channels. You can watch it, then you can listen back to it in podcast form where you get your podcast and you can listen
anywhere
back to
you get your podcast.
Yes. And 8 o'clock after Sports Open Line, we'll air it a replay. So
it's everything you want it to be.
It is.
It's a live TV show. It's an on-demand TV show. It's a live radio show. It's a podcast.
It's everything.
It's everything.
We just check off all the boxes.
All in one place.
Wheels, have a good weekend.
All right, buddy. You too.
That's Kevin Wheeler. I'm Matt Pauley. This is the Gray Bar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
When we vote, things change.
Election days this coming Tuesday.
You have to get out and vote.
Make sure your voice is heard.
Practice democracy.
Then Election Day night at 6. Join Michael Calhoun, Megan Lynch, John Hancock, Michael Kelly, the KMOX News team live on location, and the resources of CBS News for complete election coverage, analysis, and reaction. From key races, amendments, and the run for the White House, we've got it covered. Decision 2024 from KMOX News.
It's Tom Ackerman. Need to get my eyes checked once a year from Ophthalmology Associates. It's an annual eye health examination that I absolutely need if I want to see clearly, and I want to be able to tell you what I see in everything that I do on the radio and in life. The doctors of Ophthalmology Associates will help me with that. 314-966-5000 is the number to call for an appointment. 314-966-5000, Ophthalmology Associates. Doctors Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brusati, Andrew Royer, and Samuel Berry. He is a cornea surgeon. He has the knowledge and techniques for advanced eye care and treatment in the field, just like the other doctors. The doctors, they call them that because they have over 250 doctors as patients. That is more than any other practice. Ophthalmology Associates, 314-966-5000. Ophthalmology Associates, yourEyeDoc.com.
Broadcasting from the Underlined Three Lawyers, GetJim.com studios.
KMOX.
California Psychics is the real deal. They helped me out, totally changed my attitude, totally got me psyched to start my business and take a new path in my life.
At California Psychics, we only connect our customers with the best. We reject 98% of the psychics who apply to us, so we guarantee if your reading isn't life-changing, it's free. New customers receive 20 minutes for just $20. So experience the joy of certainty at CaliforniaPsychics.com.
You're leaving for work, but the garage door won't open. Is it the opener? Is the spring broken? Now you're late and your car is trapped. Well, don't panic. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis is here with same-day emergency service. They won't leave you stuck. The original Red Ribbon Garage Door Company, trusted in St. Louis since 1926. Call 314-781-5200 or schedule online at overheaddoorsstlouis.com.
Join us for the Urban League's 20th anniversary Salute to Women in Leadership Gala on Saturday, November 9th at the Marriott downtown. Get your tickets now at ulstl.com. Don't miss this memorable night when we honor Emmy recipient Lynn Whitfield with entertainment by Kenny Lattimore, Regina Bell, and Angela Winbush. Go to ulstl.com for tickets. ulstl.com for tickets now. See you there.
Life is challenging and ever-changing. Take control with passive income through real estate investing. Learn how. Learn now. Let Del Walmsley and Lifestyles Unlimited's investors and mentors show you. Meet Del's team live in St. Louis. 2 days only at the Hilton Frontenac, Saturday and Sunday, November 9th and 10th. Register now at DelHelpMeNow.com. That's DelHelpMeNow.com. Enter promo code 2024 for a special discount offer. DelHelpMeNow.com. Code 2024.
Hi, I'm Jim Brennan with McKelvey Homes. We are thrilled to announce that the Mid-America Carpenters Union is offering up to $10,000 cash to close to all McKelvey home buyers. Use these dollars for closing costs, upgrades, or buy down your interest rate. Don't miss this incredible opportunity to own a beautifully crafted home with McKelvey legendary quality. Act fast. This offer is first come, first serve. Visit McKelveyHomes.com today.
It's men's Billikens basketball action Monday afternoon as they face Santa Clara. Pregame 1:45, tip at 2 on your home for Billikens basketball. KMOX.
Welcome back in. It's a Graybar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX. My name is Matt Pauley. It is that time of the week where we listen in to a conversation with Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes. He has it each week with our sister station, 96.5 The Fan in Kansas City. Of course, here at KMOX, we are your home for Chiefs football in St. Louis. And as the conversation between Carrington Harrison and Patrick Mahomes began earlier this week, Mahomes had his annual gala to go along with his foundation, the 15 and the Mahomes Foundation. They do a lot of work dedicated to improving the lives of children. The foundation supports initiatives that focus on health, wellness, communities in need of resources, and other charitable causes. It's an organization that has been around since 2019 and has really done a lot of amazing things. And as Mahomes started his conversation, talked a little bit about the event that he held earlier in the week.
It went great, man. It's always great to see all the support that we have in the community here for Kansas City, and it was the biggest one we've had yet, and it just keeps getting bigger. And it really is truly remarkable to see that everybody wants to come out and support not only me but the community and everybody that I work with. So it was a lot of fun.
We obviously know a lot of your on-the-field goals. What is a charity goal that you have? I got a chance to go to Indianapolis, and Peyton Manning has a children's hospital in Indianapolis. You have the ability to do very similar things here in Kansas City. What are some charity goals that you have?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I have like an ultimate goal of where I want it to end up at. I just want to keep growing it and just keep impacting kids from underserved communities and kids that just want to follow their dreams. And if I can keep doing that, then I think I will be happy with whatever the end goal ends up becoming.
You've built the park that's pretty close to the plaza. Now that Sterling and your little ones are getting old enough, have you had a chance to take them down there so they could play at the park?
Yeah, they've been able to play at the park. They enjoyed it. And the hope is that I can keep doing stuff like that throughout the community. I mean, not only parks, but I've partnered with the Boys and Girls Club now, and we're going to try to help upgrade and keep those facilities at top tier stuff. And so as long as we can keep improving stuff for kids to have the ability to go out there and follow their dreams and have fun and meet people and have new friends, I think that would be a really cool to do.
You mentioned it a little bit about the growth you've seen in your charity over the years. How cool is it to see that community buy-in? It's not just your teammates, it's the community that has really come out to support your charity as well.
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, that's the special thing about Kansas City is people care about each other and they want to improve everyone's lives. And so I think I went from like 407 people last year to almost 900 people this year. And so it just shows that this thing is growing, and it's not about just me. It's about the city of Kansas City and how special a place it is.
Right now, we're talking to Patrick Mahomes here for a few minutes. You mentioned growth. We have seen Chiefs fans go to opposing venues and sort of take it over. I don't think we've seen anything like we just saw on Sunday. It felt like a college coming to take over another team's home venue. It looked like it was 70-30, maybe 80-20 inside Allegiant Stadium on Sunday.
No, it was really cool to see. I mean, all that red in the away stadium. I mean, the Chiefs fans always travel well, but I think it was even more this last week. And so hopefully we can keep doing that. Obviously, we got the next two games at home. But as we keep traveling to other away stadiums, I hope the Chiefs Kingdom keeps traveling like that because it definitely gives us an advantage.
A lot of people want your thoughts, I guess, on the trade of DeAndre Hopkins. It happened right after the last time that you and I got to speak. How rewarding is it? How exciting is it that you guys finally got him? You guys have kind of flirted with DeAndre Hopkins. You brought him in for a visit a couple years ago, and this time the deal came together.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. I mean, obviously a great football player, but I've built a great relationship with him, and he sees the football game. He sees the game of football a lot like I do, and you saw that in the little bit of opportunities that he got throughout the game this last game. And so I think as we continue to get him more and more involved in the offense, you're going to see how special of a football player he is. And he came here to win, and hopefully we can continue to do that. And he definitely has a good knack for getting open, which is going to help everybody on the football team.
You've communicated the respect that you have for him. How great is it that this is a guy that has never played with you before? I'm not sure what run-ins you guys had before him joining the team, but you can hear it in his voice that he has a great respect for you and what you guys as a team have been able to accomplish over the last few years.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great football player, and I think when you get guys that have played a lot of great football in their career, they want to continue to go for that next challenge. And for him, it's to win the Super Bowl, and that's everybody's goal at the end of the day whenever you play the game of football. And so I think he's excited to be here. I think if you watch the tape, he got open a lot this last week. And so I think seeing that on tape is going to give me the confidence to give him more and more opportunities to go out there and make plays.
A lot of conversation has been made about Andy's offense and how difficult it is to kind of learn on the fly. How difficult do you think it will be to kind of get him adjusted and get him acclimated into the offense in the middle of the season?
I mean, if it's anything like last week, I think it's gonna be easy for him. I mean, he's a very smart guy. He has a good understanding. He's played in multiple different offenses with multiple different quarterbacks. So he's a good understanding of how to just get himself open and be in the right spot. And I mean, we actually, I think last week we were even surprised by how fast he was picking up stuff. And so with a whole other week and an extra day, I think he's going to be fine to go out there and get a full amount of work in order to be a big part of this offense.
Patrick, certainly correct me if I'm wrong, but I just can't think of you guys having too many receivers like DeAndre Hopkins, a little bit bigger, more of a contested catch guy. Normally you guys like the, 6'1", wiry kind of speedy guys, and that's not what he is. Is this a different receiver than you're kind of accustomed throwing to, or is there a comparison that you have?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a different receiver. I mean, he's kind of a one-of-one receiver when it comes to being able to catch the jump ball, being able to get himself open in space, be able to be one-on-one coverage. I mean, he's there's a reason that he's got all those all-pros, and he's always been a great receiver. But I mean, he is a little bit of just kind of a mixture of a lot of guys that we have. I mean, Sammy Watkins, Juju. He's got the ability to win one-on-one like some other receivers that we had. I mean, it's hard to describe one guy because he's one of those type of receivers that only comes around once in a generation.
I saw that some of the other receivers were calling him Monk. I'm curious, how many more years in the league do you think it's going to be before there's going to be some young receiver that the Chiefs get and they're going to start calling you Monk?
It's not going to be many more. I mean, I'm still not very old. I mean, I'm only 29, but this is my 8th year in the NFL. So, I mean, a lot of these guys were in middle school or even low high school whenever I got in the NFL. So they've been seeing me play for a long time. So as the years go on here soon, they're going to be calling me Monk for sure.
Last couple questions here, Patrick, and I appreciate your time. I'm actually curious to get your opinion on this. You are somebody who your opinion, your voice matters. As you've sort of matured in your career, how do you make the determination of things that you want to speak up on?
I think it's just stuff that I feel like at that moment in time is something that I believe I need to speak up and use my platform. But I mean, it's such a hard thing to decide and make those choices because it's not going to only impact you, but your family as well and everyone that's around you. So you have to kind of weigh all those decisions and then decide if it's the right time to make your voice known.
You obviously know the climate that we're in, and athletes are speaking up just almost every day. Do you ever feel a pressure to speak up? Do you ever feel like an outside force that people are sort of looking for you to give your thoughts?
I don't know if it's necessarily pressure. I mean, I understand the platform that I have, and I understand if I wanted to or not, what I say is gonna kind of be out there for everyone to see, and it could impact other people and how they think. But I think my goal is just to try to be the best person that I can be at the end of the day. And even though it might not be 100% with everybody and what they agree, I'm gonna try to do whatever I can to make a positive impact in the world at the end of the day.
That is Patrick Mahomes joining us on the show today as we get you ready for Monday Night Football. Patrick, man, great stuff, man. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man.
That's Patrick Mahomes talking with our colleague in Kansas City at 96.5 The Fan, Carrington Harrison, the weekly conversation they have. Chiefs play a Monday Night Football game, as alluded to just a moment ago, put their undefeated 7-0 record on the line as they match up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 7:15 kickoff coming up on Monday, and our coverage is going to begin at 6 o'clock. So we won't have a Gray Bar Sports Open Line for you on Monday. Actually, after today, we're not going to have a show again until Wednesday because Monday we'll have Chiefs Monday Night Football, and then Tuesday is election night, and we'll have coverage of that throughout the evening. So we'll have our next program coming up on Wednesday. 4 straight days without a Sports Open Line. I don't know if I can deal with that, but I will, and we're going to have great stuff for you here on KMOX. All right, we're going to take a break, and speaking of great stuff, our good friend Rachel Zimmerman, she is going to join us coming up in just a moment to preview the Rachel Zimmerman Show, and we'll wrap up this edition of a Gray Bar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX.
When you're hiring for your business, ZipRecruiter's powerful matching technology makes finding qualified candidates for your job easy. This made us wonder, what if the rest of the world was as easy as ZipRecruiter? Math problems wouldn't be so problematic.
K equals 42.
Escape rooms? Elementary. And summiting Everest would be a walk in the park. In the meantime, if you want to make your hiring easier, use ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Simple. So, see what the world is like when ZipRecruiter does the hard work of hiring for you. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Can't make it to Kansas City for the big game? No problem.
Kelsey, 3-point stance to the left. Here comes an inside blitz.
Experience every Kansas City Chiefs game like you're in the front row at Ballpark Village.
25-20 downfield block. 10-5.
Join fellow KMOX Chief fans on game day and feel the roar of the crowd right here in St. Louis.
Touchdown! Kansas City!
Chiefs watch parties presented by Jim Beam.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
At Onder Law, we deliver big judgments for the little guy. Onder Law takes on the biggest industries and holds them accountable. Call today for a free review at 314 or 618-9-MILLION.
Nobody wants a surprise in their jelly donut. It's toothpaste? That's because the middle is the most important part. At Graybar, we're at the middle of electrical and datacom jobs across the country, connecting installers, facility managers, and business owners with smart solutions for their most challenging projects, which means stocking and delivering crucial products on time and on budget with no surprises, thanks to our nationwide logistics network. Yep, Graybar does that.
Jules on Hampton in St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches on site. Jules on Hampton is a premier jeweler with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jules on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches. Bring your collectibles and clocks, sports memorabilia, and figurines too. Jules on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa. Call them at 314-752-5000. That's 314-752-5000. So if you need some extra cash, looking for that one-of-a-kind piece, make Jules on Hampton your first stop. Jules on Hampton in St. Louis Hills.
Lowe's knows you want to get even more value for the holiday. That's why as a MyLowe's Rewards member, you get new member deals every week on everyday essentials, tools, and more. And you earn points when you shop. More points equal more rewards to help you save on holiday and more. Not a member? Join for free today at Lowe's.com/MyLowe's Because Lowe's knows deals. Program subject to terms and conditions. Points are awarded on eligible purchases. See Lowe's.com/terms for full details. Subject to change.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer? Can we sleep cooler? Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now during our Veterans Day sale, save 40% on the Sleep Number Special Edition smart bed. Limited time. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com.
Supporting your nutrition should be easy. That's why we created the Neovitin Women's Multivitamin monthly subscription. Get your daily Neovitin Women's Multivitamin delivered directly to your door every month. You can pause or cancel your subscription at any time with no long-term obligations. With B vitamins to support energy, vitamin D for bone support, and our physician-formulated proprietary blend, Neovitin Women's Multivitamin is here to support your nutrition every day. Start supporting your nutrition and sign up for a monthly Neovitin Women's Multivitamin subscription today at neovitin.com.
Welcome back to the Graybar Sports Open Line. Once again, Matt Pauley on KMOX.
Back at it, it's the Graybar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX. We are starting to wrap things up a little bit more from an hour from now. It is the Rachel Zimmerman Show. We always enjoy it when Rachel finds a little time to make her way into the studio before her show gets going in about an hour. She's with us right now. Hey, Rachel.
Hey, Matt.
How was your Halloween?
It was nice. It was very low key. You know, we celebrate pretty big on the Dave Glover Show with our programming. Yeah. But last night I just kind of chilled at home. It was really nice.
Do you have fun with what you guys did on like just kind of the creepy nature of the stuff you guys do during the week?
Yeah, it's definitely like a highlight of the year. But it is a lot of stress too. So it's always like, whew, whenever it's over. Now we just get to focus on the election. Sorry to bring it up. But
yeah. next Tuesday, well, hopefully it'll be over pretty soon after Tuesday. You've got a niece, correct?
I do. I have
Okay.
3 nieces.
Do you ever do Halloween with them?
Yeah. A couple years ago, I went up when they were trick-or-treating, and I was like, the fifth wheel at that point. So, but it was so fun. Like it was so much just joy seeing them go from house to house. And I mean, what's better than that? I'm sure you experienced that with your daughters.
Yeah. So I grew up in a pretty religious household.
Same. I didn't trick-or-treat.
Neither did I.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So literally, like a couple years ago when I lived in an apartment, not in St. Louis, like the apartment complex did like a trick or treat thing, but it was just a couple buildings. Last night was the first time in my life, because we took my daughter over to one of her friend's house. It's also a friend of the family. And they did like the whole neighborhood, house by house by house. And I realized it as I was walking and watching her. That was the first time in my life where I had experienced the true trick-or-treating.
Well, congratulations. Was it fun?
Yeah. So I got a couple stories. First, have you heard about the potato thing?
No.
Okay. So there's this thing where it was almost like a social experiment where it's like, do you want candy or do you want a potato? And the people that I was with, we were actually talking about it before, and like, oh, I wonder if anybody's going to have the potato. One house had the potato where you could choose. My daughter was one of 6 or 7 kids in a group. My 5-year-old daughter was the one daughter who chose the potato.
I'll take the potato over here.
So that's tonight. My wife is going to make it for her. So
that's adorable.
Yeah. So my daughter chose the potato over chocolate. That's the first thing. If people have no clue what I'm talking about, go Google trick-or-treating potato and you can find all the details on it. It's a thing. And then we weren't home, so we left the bucket, of candy on our front porch. And I went back and we have a Ring camera on our front door. So I went back to see the kids, picking up the candy because almost all of it was gone. I wanted to see how many kids actually came through. And towards the end of the night, a kid steps up to the bowl, picks up everything in there, looks up, says, "Oh, they have a Ring camera," and drops the candy.
Wow.
And just takes a couple pieces and goes.
Wow.
Yeah. So the Ring camera saving candy for other people.
Yeah, he didn't want to get posted online.
Which I would never post a picture of somebody else's kid, but that's one that it was so funny. I wanted to share that, but obviously I'm not going to do that because it's not my place to do
That's
it.
awesome.
All right. So Rachel Zimmerman show tonight, 9:00. What do you have going on?
I have a very exciting show tonight. I have Naresh Kumar. He's an amazing person. He biked from India to Germany on a tandem bicycle. So he had strangers hop on the back of his bike, and the whole thing was to raise awareness for human trafficking. He has an incredible story. So he's my first guest. My second guest is actually a dream guest of mine, and that's Mr. Andy Cohen of Bravo fame.
Yeah.
And he's St. Louis's own. I got to talk to him. I went to the Lucas Kuntz rally a couple weeks ago, specifically to talk to Andy and talk to him for about 6 minutes. So he's at the end of the show tonight. That was a bucket list, ultimate type of guest I could get on my show. So I'm very, very happy about it.
That is really cool. I've always hoped. So my wife loves Andy Cohen.
Oh, awesome.
And loves all the housewife shows and the Below Decks and the what is it?
Vanderpump Rules.
She doesn't
Southern
watch
Charm,
that one.
Summer House.
I don't know.
Okay.
Give
me your number. We'll talk.
Andy does. Is it What Happens? What happens
live?
Okay. So and she likes that. My hope, because Andy pops in every once in a while, and I know when the Cardinals are good, he's around, I think, a lot more. I've always hoped that we've got that booth downstairs and people make their way in. I would love at some point for him to be in St. Louis, for me to meet him, and for me to be able to FaceTime my wife unexpectedly with Andy Cohen. And I feel at some point in time, his and mine's paths are going to cross.
It's going to happen.
We just need the Cardinals to be better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I will say, he lived up to expectations. I'm always nervous when I meet famous people. It's like, oh, I hope they're as nice as, you want them to be. He was so incredible. I was so happy with our interaction. So he's a really nice guy.
Not to completely overshadow your first guest, but I mean, human trafficking, it is so much more common than I think people realize.
Absolutely.
And it is so scary. As a parent of a 5-year-old girl, I think about my growing up and just going outside and playing and being away. I don't know how I'm going to parent that because I am so afraid of the stuff the evil stuff that happens in our world.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. And the thing I talk about with Naresh is just keeping your eyes out. And if you ever notice anything that seems suspect, always say something, because you could save a life.
Rachel Zimmerman show coming up this evening, 9 o'clock. Do you have any other replays over the weekend?
I think I'm on at 7 o'clock on Saturday, too, if you want to catch it then.
And then podcast available?
It's up now.
Okay, very good. That's Rachel Zimmerman. Rachel, thanks for stopping in.
Thanks, Matt.
That's Rachel Zimmerman. I'm Matt Pauley. This has been a Gray Bar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
Seeing the world around you is so important. So take care of your eyes. And why would you trust them to just anyone? The best doctors to see for your best vision are the Doctors of Ophthalmology Associates. Doctors Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brusati, Andy Royer, and Samuel Berry. The Doctors of Ophthalmology